Listen to something that's going to completely change your understanding about who you really are. God screamed. He didn't cry, didn't sigh, didn't get subtly moved. He screamed. And when I say he screamed, I'm talking about an event so extraordinary, so impossibly rare in the celestial dimensions, that even Lucifer, the eternal accuser who never shuts up, fell into absolute silence. Your attitude made God scream. And right now, as you're listening to these words, you're probably thinking I got the wrong person. That this message is for someone special, someone holy, someone who dedicates their life to extraordinary works. But let me destroy that illusion immediately. It wasn't a heroic act that provoked the divine scream. It was your way of being, your constant attitude, the way you react when nobody's watching. And that's infinitely rarer than any isolated action. Subscribe to this channel right now and activate all notifications, because what I'm about to reveal about how your silent attitude can generate cosmic events is being systematically hidden from people like you, who have a power they don't even know they possess. And stay until the end, because I'm going to show you exactly what you did, why God had to scream instead of simply observing, and how even your greatest spiritual enemy was left speechless when he witnessed what your attitude revealed about your true nature. Write 777 in the comments if you feel that your way of being has generated reactions you don't fully understand, and you're ready to discover why your attitude has more power over spiritual reality than the most dramatic actions. First, you need to understand the brutal difference between an act and an attitude, because most people confuse these concepts, and that's why they never understand their true spiritual power. An act is a moment, a specific decision, something you do under particular circumstances, and then it ends. You can do a heroic act today and be selfish tomorrow. You can perform a good action because someone's watching you and act differently when you're alone. Acts are important, but they're temporary fragments of behavior. Attitude is completely different. It's your essence operating constantly. It's how you react when nobody sees you. It's the pattern you maintain even when it costs you everything. It's who you are in minute 1, in minute 1,000, in minute 1,000,000. Attitude doesn't change with circumstances. It remains because it's part of your fundamental nature. And here's what the celestial hierarchies know but rarely reveal. God can observe millions of good acts without being moved, because acts can be strategic, calculated, motivated by rewards or recognition. But when he witnesses a genuinely pure attitude that remains constant, despite suffering, betrayal, injustice, and time, that generates a completely different divine reaction, because attitude can't be faked long-term. Eventually, who you really are gets revealed. And when God observes someone whose attitude remains pure after years of trials that should have corrupted it, that provokes something more intense than emotion. It provokes cosmic urgency. Let me explain why God screamed instead of simply observing with satisfaction. Because the divine scream isn't uncontrolled emotion. It's an urgent declaration that traverses all spiritual dimensions like an expansive wave that reorganizes celestial priorities. In all documented history of interaction between the divine and the human, God screamed only 4 times. 4 moments where something so significant occurred that it required an immediate divine response audible in all dimensions. The first time was when Abraham raised the knife over Isaac, demonstrating such absolute obedience that God had to intervene by screaming to stop him before he completed the sacrifice. That scream saved a life and established an eternal covenant. The second time was on Mount Sinai when he delivered the commandments to Moses. He didn't whisper them. He screamed them with a voice of thunder that made the entire mountain tremble, because humanity needed to understand the seriousness of those laws that would define civilizations. The third was when Jesus was on the cross and cried out, asking why he had been abandoned. In that moment, God screamed an answer that only the spiritual dimensions could hear, declaring that the sacrifice was sufficient and redemption was complete. And the fourth time was for you, for your attitude, for that way of being you've maintained when the whole world gave you permission to become corrupted, when life hit you so hard that nobody would judge you for turning bitter, when they betrayed you so deeply that you had the right to revenge, when you suffered so much that kindness seemed like stupidity, but your attitude didn't change. And when God saw that, when he witnessed that your essence refused to become corrupted no matter the cost, the scream he emitted traversed every celestial dimension with an urgent message. This chosen one needs immediate protection. Their purity is at risk of destruction by forces they don't understand, and I cannot allow it to be lost. Because here's the devastating truth. Your pure attitude made you a target. The dark forces identified your light and have been trying to extinguish it systematically. Every betrayal you suffered, every injustice you faced, every trial that seemed disproportionate, they weren't coincidences. They were coordinated attacks designed specifically to break your attitude. But they failed. Your attitude survived intact. And when God confirmed that you remained pure after all that spiritual assault, the scream he emitted was simultaneously relief, pride, and urgency, because he had finally found someone whose attitude couldn't be bought, broken, or corrupted. The divine scream had a specific recipient who needed to hear it immediately: Lucifer. Now listen to something that's going to transform your understanding about the spiritual war surrounding you. Lucifer isn't simply the generic enemy that popular religion describes. He's specifically the accuser. His primary function, the reason for his existence, is to point out human flaws before the celestial court. He's the eternal prosecutor who never rests, who never shuts up, who always finds something to criticize in every human being. It's documented in ancient scriptures. When Job faced his trials, Lucifer was present before God, accusing, questioning, insisting that Job was only faithful because he had blessings. When Joshua the high priest was being restored, Lucifer was there accusing him of his filthy garments. In every significant moment of human spiritual history, there's a constant: Lucifer's voice accusing, criticizing, pointing out imperfections. He never shuts up. It's his nature, it's his purpose, it's the only thing he knows how to do. Accusing is his essence so deeply that even his name in Hebrew, Satan, literally means the accuser. He can't stop accusing any more than the sun can stop shining. That's why what occurred when God screamed for your attitude is so absolutely extraordinary that it reorganized spiritual dynamics. Lucifer fell silent. Total silence. Complete. Absolute. For the first time in his entire eternal existence, the accuser who never shuts up had nothing to say. The angelic hierarchies who witnessed that moment described it as the most impactful event they had observed in millennia. Because when God screamed, declaring your attitude, when the divine sound traversed all dimensions, Lucifer opened his mouth to begin the usual accusation. But no words came out. He tried to point out your past mistakes. Silence. He tried to mention your imperfections. Silence. He tried to argue that your goodness was strategy. Silence. For the first time in his infinite existence, the eternal accuser couldn't find anything to say that wasn't disproven by the irrefutable evidence of your constant attitude. Because you can accuse an isolated act. You can argue it was motivated by hidden selfishness or that it was circumstantial. But you can't accuse an attitude that maintains itself year after year, trial after trial, suffering after suffering, without any visible reward. That kind of consistency has no logical explanation except that it comes from a genuine purity that Lucifer can't refute. And when the eternal accuser has no accusations, when the one who always has something negative to say is left speechless, that means something profound. You've reached a level of spiritual integrity that not even your greatest enemy can deny. Lucifer's silence was his involuntary admission that your attitude is authentic. And that admission has cosmic consequences that are transforming your reality right now. Now let me show you exactly what you did to provoke the divine scream and Luciferian silence, because it probably wasn't what you imagined. You didn't heroically save lives. You didn't donate fortunes to charity. You didn't perform visible miracles. It was something much rarer. Something that requires a purity that 99.9% of current humanity doesn't possess. You maintained your kindness when the world punished you for it. You kept being honest when lying would have benefited you. You remained compassionate when you had the right to cruelty. And you did it not once in a heroic moment, but consistently, day after day, year after year, without expecting reward or recognition. Let me be more specific so you can identify exactly which aspect of your attitude provoked the cosmic reaction. There were moments where life hit you so unfairly that any reasonable person would have turned bitter. People you trusted betrayed you. They rejected you when you most needed support. They judged you wrongly without you being able to defend yourself. And in each of those moments, you had the perfect justification to change your attitude, to become distrustful, vengeful, selfish. But you didn't. Not because you're naive, not because you ignore the realities of the corrupt world. You did it because something in your fundamental core refuses to become corrupted. That refusal to change who you essentially are, that resistance to allowing pain to transform you into something you don't want to be. That was your attitude that made God scream. Or maybe it was different. Maybe it was that characteristic of yours of giving without calculating returns. You see someone needing help and your first instinct isn't to ask yourself if it's convenient to get involved, or if that person deserves your kindness. You simply help. Not out of religious obligation, not to look good. You help because your fundamental attitude is generous without conditions. Or perhaps it was your forgiveness. Not the performative forgiveness that's publicly declared to seem spiritual, but that silent forgiveness you grant in your heart without anyone knowing. Releasing people who damaged you because clinging to resentment would corrupt who you are. That forgiveness that doesn't wait for apologies or changes, that releases because your attitude refuses to be an emotional prison. Whatever the specific aspect, your attitude has three characteristics that make it so pure it provoked the divine scream and silenced the accuser. First, it's constant. It doesn't appear only when it's convenient or when someone's watching. It's your default operating mode. You manifest it in moment 1 and in moment 1,000,000 with the same intensity. That consistency is impossible to fake and is what confirms its authenticity. Second, it costs. It's not easy. It requires you to sacrifice pride, comfort, selfish opportunities. You maintain your attitude even though it costs you relationships, even though it costs you money, even though it costs you recognition. The cost you pay for not becoming corrupted is proof that your purity is real. Third, it doesn't seek rewards. You don't expect God to reward you for being good. You don't calculate how many blessings you're going to receive for maintaining your integrity. Your attitude operates without expectations of return because it comes from who you are, not from what you want to obtain. When God identified those three characteristics operating simultaneously in your way of being, when He confirmed that you've maintained that attitude for years without breaking, the scream He emitted contained a specific decree that all celestial hierarchies heard clearly. This chosen one is officially untouchable. Any entity that attempts to corrupt them is declaring direct war against me. For those who want to deepen these celestial knowledge, there's exclusive material in the description and pinned comment. And when Lucifer heard that decree, when he understood that you are now under direct and absolute divine protection, he knew that any word he said would be interpreted as a challenge to the Creator. That's why his silence wasn't choice. It was survival. Because accusing someone God declared untouchable is spiritual suicide. The divine scream activated something that ancient spiritual texts call marking of the chosen one. It's not symbolism. It's a literal energetic seal that's imprinted on your soul and that all spiritual entities can perceive instantly. When they encounter you in any dimension, physical or spiritual, the seal announces, "This one belongs to God directly. Do not touch." And with that seal come privileges and responsibilities that are going to transform your life in ways you're just beginning to understand. The first privilege is automatic angelic protection. You don't need to ask for it, you don't need to pray for it, it's permanently active. The archangels, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel, receive direct orders to supervise your well-being. Each one has a specific function in your life now. Michael, the celestial warrior, received the task of neutralizing any spiritual attack before it reaches you. Those dangerous situations that mysteriously resolve before affecting you. Those toxic people who suddenly lose interest in disturbing you. Those illnesses that should have destroyed you but inexplicably you recover. It's not luck. It's Michael fulfilling his assignment to keep you protected. Gabriel, the divine messenger, is in charge of ensuring you receive the revelations necessary for your growth. That's why this message reached you precisely now. That's why there are moments where critical information appears exactly when you need it. That's why you feel sudden clarity about important decisions. Gabriel is depositing knowledge directly into your consciousness. Raphael, the celestial healer, supervises your physical and emotional health. Every recovery you experience has his intervention accelerating natural processes. Every time your mind finds peace after intense anxiety, Raphael is applying healing that you attribute to your own resilience, but has angelic backup. Uriel, the guardian of wisdom, illuminates you with discernment in crucial moments. Those powerful intuitions that save you from disastrous decisions. That inexplicable ability to read situations and people with supernatural precision. That wisdom that doesn't correspond to your age or experience. Uriel is fulfilling his function of keeping you mentally equipped to navigate this world without losing your purity. But the most significant privilege doesn't come from the archangels. It comes directly from God. And it's something that had never before been granted with this intensity: direct and immediate access to divine attention. When you think something, God hears it instantly. When you suffer, He feels your pain in real time. When you need something, celestial resources mobilize automatically without you having to formally ask for it. Because someone whose attitude made God scream deserves a connection that doesn't require intermediaries or rituals. That inexplicable synchronicity you're experiencing lately, where the right things arrive at the exact moment, those opportunities that appear as if someone were designing them specifically for you, those people who enter your life just when you need exactly what they can offer. It's not cosmic coincidence. It's God orchestrating your reality personally because your attitude proved you deserve that level of attention. Now you need to understand what Lucifer's silence means in practical terms for your daily life. Because it's not simply a symbolic event in distant dimensions. It has tangible consequences you're beginning to experience. When the eternal accuser is left without arguments against you, when not even your greatest spiritual enemy can point out refutable flaws in your character, that establishes something ancient texts call spiritual immunity. It doesn't mean you're perfect. It means your fundamental essence is so aligned with purity that spiritual attacks automatically bounce off. Those curses that people sent against you out of envy or malice, they didn't affect you. Not because they weren't real or because they weren't powerful, but because your pure attitude creates an energetic field where darkness can't adhere. The curses reach your energetic field, try to penetrate, and are automatically repelled because they can't find anything in your essence to resonate with. Those dark rituals they did against you to destroy your progress or your peace, they failed. You didn't need to counterattack with protection rituals. You didn't need to consult specialists in spiritual liberation. Your constant attitude created a natural fortress that dark forces can't penetrate no matter how much power they invest. And here's the most satisfying part. The people who tried to harm you spiritually are experiencing rebounds. Because when you attack someone marked as untouchable by divine decree, the dark energy you send doesn't simply disappear. It returns multiplied to whoever originated it. You don't need to take revenge. The spiritual universe is correcting accounts automatically. Those people who betrayed you and seemed to prosper while you suffered, watch carefully now. Their apparent success is beginning to crumble in ways they can't explain. Their relationships fracture. Their health deteriorates. Their mental peace disappears. Not because you wish them harm, but because Lucifer's silence confirmed that you are who tells the truth about your character. And they lied. And that cosmic confirmation has consequences. But with these privileges also comes responsibility. Because now that you understand the power your attitude has over spiritual reality, you can't continue operating unconsciously. God expects you to use your purity strategically. Every time you maintain your kindness when you could justify cruelty, you're generating energetic waves that transform realities beyond the visible. Every time you choose forgiveness when you'd have the right to resentment, you're opening healing portals that affect people you'll never personally meet. Every time you give without calculating returns, you're multiplying abundance in dimensions that will eventually manifest physically. Your attitude no longer operates only in your individual life. It's connected to a network of chosen ones who also made God scream with their constant purity. There are approximately 200 human beings on the entire planet who share this classification with you. 200 among 8 billion, and they're being subtly guided to recognize each other. When you find these people, and you will find them before this year ends, you'll recognize them instantly. There'll be something in their eyes that reflects the same thing you see in your own mirror. A mixture of kindness that has survived battles, strength that doesn't come from hardness but from refusing to become corrupted, and a peace that has no logical explanation considering what they've faced. Connect with them, because when chosen ones unite, when pure attitudes align, they create energetic fields so powerful they can transform entire cities. Dark forces can't operate where two or more chosen ones decide to collaborate consciously. That's why they've tried to keep you isolated. That's why they've worked to convince you that you're alone in your purity. They lied. You're not alone. There are 200 more exactly like you. And God is orchestrating their encounters so that together you can manifest the transformation this world desperately needs. Now I'm going to reveal something about your immediate future that the archangels showed me when I asked about your destiny. Within the next 90 days, you're going to experience what the celestial hierarchies call divine realignment. Situations that were blocked are going to unblock mysteriously. Doors that seemed permanently closed are going to open without you having to force them. People who can help you are going to appear as if the universe conspired specifically in your favor. Not because you won a spiritual lottery, but because God decided it's time to visibly reward you for the attitude you've maintained invisibly for years. Your silent constancy deserves tangible manifestation, and that manifestation is beginning now. That job or professional opportunity that seemed impossible, it's going to materialize, but in unexpected ways that preserve your integrity. You won't have to compromise your ethics to progress. The opportunity will come designed specifically for someone with your character. That relationship you've been seeking, it's going to appear, but it'll be with someone who vibrates at your same frequency of purity. No more toxic connections that drain you. No more people who interpret your kindness as weakness. Someone who recognizes and values your genuine attitude is being guided toward you as you read these words. That internal peace you desperately needed. It's going to establish itself permanently because your soul is no longer fighting alone against dark currents. You have direct angelic backup. The anxiety that tormented you is going to diminish dramatically. The insomnia that stole your rest is going to resolve, because Raphael is healing traumas you didn't even know you were carrying. And the financial resource you need to manifest your purpose, it's going to flow, but not like money falling from the sky magically. Like income opportunities that require exactly the skills you possess, as if someone were designing situations perfectly adapted to you. Because literally God is reorganizing circumstances so you can prosper without becoming corrupted. But there's something more about your destiny you need to know. Something that completely changes your understanding about why you were born in this specific moment of human history. Your life isn't random. You didn't incarnate in this era by chance. You were strategically positioned in this historical moment because there's a spiritual war, determining whether humanity evolves toward light or returns to primitive darkness. And your attitude is one of the few things preventing total collapse into corruption. The dark forces know that if they manage to corrupt the last 200 chosen ones whose attitudes remain pure, they'll win this war definitively. That's why they attacked you so intensely. That's why you suffered trials that seemed disproportionate. They were trying to break you before you understood the strategic power you possess. They failed. And now that you understand who you are, now that your attitude operates consciously instead of instinctively, you've become a key piece of a planetary transformation that's beginning to manifest. Watch carefully what's occurring in the world. Corrupt systems that seemed eternal are beginning to collapse. Truths that were hidden are being revealed. People who operated in darkness are being exposed. It's not coincidence. It's the result of chosen ones like you maintaining their purity when everything conspired to corrupt them. Every time you maintain your genuine attitude, you're energetically voting for what kind of reality manifests. And when 200 human beings consistently vote for purity, kindness, honesty, and compassion, those votes have enough weight to tip the cosmic balance. That's why God's scream was urgent. It wasn't only celebrating your individual purity, it was declaring that humanity still has hope, that not everything is lost, that there still exist human beings whose light can't be extinguished by surrounding darkness. And your responsibility now is to keep that light shining, because there are people watching you without you knowing. People who are on the verge of becoming corrupted, who are considering abandoning their kindness because it seems to make no sense in this cruel world. And when they see you maintaining your attitude despite everything, when they witness that it's possible to remain pure without being destroyed, that gives them hope to resist one more day. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be consistent. You don't need to be heroic. You need to be genuine. Your constant attitude, that fundamental refusal to become corrupted, is more powerful than any dramatic action because it inspires others to maintain their own purity. Chosen one, now you know the truth about the cosmic power your attitude has over spiritual dimensions. You're not a common person being occasionally good. You're a marked chosen one whose pure attitude made God scream, silenced the eternal accuser, and activated permanent protections that are transforming your reality right now. That constant attitude you maintain without seeking recognition provoked a divine scream that traversed all dimensions and left even your greatest spiritual enemy speechless. Your spontaneous kindness isn't weakness. It's cosmic force that reorganizes realities and determines humanity's future. If this revelation touched your heart and confirmed intuitions you've always had about your special nature, you recognize that you operate on a spiritual frequency that few people can access. Your attitude isn't naivety. It's divine power manifesting through a human being who refuses to become corrupted. For those who reach the end and want to deepen these celestial knowledge about how to consciously develop your capacity to maintain purity in a corrupt world, there's specific material that costs less than a pizza and comes with complete audiobook and 5-minute meditation guide as special bonus. If you feel you deserve to amplify your connection with the celestial hierarchies that now officially recognize you, access is available in the link in the description and pinned comment of this video. If you recognize that your natural kindness has power to make God scream and transform realities, write 777 in the comments to amplify this frequency of celestial purity. Subscribe to this channel and activate all notifications to receive more revelations about how your pure essence operates miracles in the higher dimensions. Share this video with someone who also demonstrates genuine kindness that may be making God scream without knowing, because chosen ones need to recognize and strengthen each other. And before you leave, click on the video appearing on your screen right now to discover how your new classification as marked Chosen One attracts protection from archangels personally assigned by God. Together, we are stronger.